Hello, welcome to Best Picture Brainrot, a podcast series where three friends attempt the impossible, watching every single Best Picture winner in chronological order before the 100th Oscars and slowly losing our grip on reality.
Follow along as we give ourselves cinematic brain damage by watching every Best Picture in order from the very first winner, Wings, to whatever the Academy picks in 2028.
There are 97 weeks until the 100th Oscars, and today we are going to talk about Cimarron. Surprises, disappointments, hot takes, and plenty of brain rot.
We are your hosts, Adam,
Sarah,
and Drew.
Our fourth Academy Award winner for Best Picture is Cimarron, released February 9th, 1931, and directed by Wesley Ruggles. It follows the Cravat family, primarily through the stories of patriarch Yancey, as well as his wife Sabra, as they participate in the westward expansion into Oklahoma. It's essentially a Western epic and takes place over several decades as they become key figures in the newly American-settled territory.
Sabra as in the hummus brand.
Yancey is in...
Fancy,
what even
fancy.
are these names?
These are some Dune-ass names. Watching the movie, Yancey Cravat.
Yeah.
Sabra Cravat. Cimarron.
Duncan, Idaho is a name that you wouldn't see in Cimarron.
Paul Atreides would be a normal name for this movie. The villain's name is Lon Yountus. This is a fundamentally really weird movie. And I was curious watching it if these names were normal back then, but I'm sure there were a lot of things that were normal in late 1800s that may seem strange to us now.
Yeah. All bets were off. It was the Wild West for a lot of reasons. Mostly with what you were willing to name your kid.
Oklahoma is the territory in question that we're talking about today. But Drew, do you want to give us a little background on the historical landmarks leading up to what we're seeing in Cimarron?
Of course, yeah. Cimarron gives a pretty straightforward, I think, history of early Oklahoma, but there are obviously some parts leading up to it that go a little unnoticed, so we'll cover that here with a little land acknowledgement. I mean, you have to. You literally have to.
It's an integral part of covering
I'm
this,
not being
for sure.
I'm not being obnoxious here.
Yeah.
I'm like being serious. So the land that we now know as Oklahoma was first incorporated into the U.S. as part of the Louisiana Purchase. The original inhabitants of this land include Wichita, Caddo, Apache, Comanche, Kiowa, Quapaw, and perhaps most notably to this movie, the Osage tribes. Now, what's unique about Oklahoma's early history compared to other land owned by the U.S. is that this territory was placed entirely under the control of the Indian Affairs Administration, a federal government body part of the Department of Interior, largely tasked with implementing and enforcing policy regarding Native Americans. In fact, before it was called Oklahoma, most maps of the U.S. labeled this land as Indian Territory. This isn't just because of the native tribes, though. In 1830, President Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act, relocating several tribes from east of the Mississippi River into Indian Territory. Trail of Tears is probably the most notable part of this act. These tribes were known as the five civilized tribes, the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Cimarron follows a pretty straightforward history of Oklahoma, beginning with 1889. In this year, Congress passed a law opening up the territory for settlement for white people. 50,000 settlers lined up at the border of the western unassigned lands, that is, territory not reserved for the relocated Native American tribes. Now, in reality, these particular lands were assigned to the Creek and Seminole peoples before, since the 1830 Indian Removal Act, but, shocker, the government kind of pulled a fast one on them, relocated them to other territory, and opened up this unassigned land for any American settlers. So, at high noon on April 22nd, 1889, 50,000 settlers lined up at the border of these unassigned lands. First come, first serve, you stake your claim, you own the land. I think in the context of the movie, we see this as someone literally just staking a flag in an acre of land and it's theirs. 2 million open acres were up for grabs, and this is where Cimarron begins. Now, fun fact for any college sports fan, you may have heard of the Oklahoma University mascot, the Sooners. Well, this derives from the 1889 land rush because many settlers at the time were accused of jumping the high noon start time, sneaking in and claiming territory from some of the juicier plots of land. This led to many legal contests, often taken up with local land offices and even, in some cases, the Department of Interior. And many of these people that were accused of jumping the gun were labeled Sooners for entering the unassigned territories too soon.
Oklahoma University, OU, their chant or their motto is Boomer Sooner.
Yeah.
Boomer is the legal, lawful side of that, where boomers were settlers who actively campaigned to open the land legally, whereas Sooners are the ones who snuck into the land, as you said, claiming it early. Yeah. So Boomer Sooner is something that you'll hear at any OU football game. You will also see a simulated land run.
Yes, they have the chuck wagon or whatever that like goes across the field. Yeah.
So my wife, Alexis, she is from Oklahoma, grew up in Oklahoma, about an hour and a half west of Oklahoma City. So a totally different area than where Cimarron takes place, but knows all about things like Oklahoma history. And one funny tidbit that she shared with me is that it's not just at OU they do these simulated land runs. They do them at every elementary school.
Oh, sure.
On April 22nd is Land Run Day.
So instead of a jogathon, they have like land run?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, it's just an excuse to like learn about heritage, but also get a bunch of little elementary school kids just to like run for 30 minutes and just get their energy out for the day. But she was showing me pictures of these land run days, and it's kids in kitschy little clothes of the time, and some of them are riding little stick horses. I presume not really claiming land or anything. There's no strategic element to this. It's just go run, children.
Did you have anything like you lived in Sacramento, so you probably were like panning for gold or something?
Yes, it was panning for gold, and then we'd spend the night at Sutter's Fort, which is like the fort that John Sutter, the first like strike gold in California. This could be totally wrong. I'm going off of my fourth grade memory.
You spent the night there?
We spent the night there. We all got like different characters assigned to us. I was very jealous of the guy who was assigned John Sutter because I wanted John Sutter, and I felt like a woman could absolutely play John Sutter during this John Sutter Fort trip. But I got someone named Sarah. It was very boring. But yeah, we panned for gold. We churned butter. That was basically it.
I lived in Massachusetts, which is like the East Coast is like you're just ripe with this stuff. So we had Plymouth Plantation and Sturbridge Village, those living history museums where you go and it's like there's a Native American guy like shelling out a dugout canoe and he's like, come, gather around. Then he tells you stories about like how to build a canoe, or then you go into like a little village and it's like the churning for butter thing and all
He's
that.
like, let me tell you about local folk hero Yancey Supreme, friend of the natives.
Yeah. Did you were what?
In Nebraska.
It
was the state is the home of Arbor Day.
Okay.
So Nebraska City was like 45 minutes south of Omaha. So we'd go to the cradle of Arbor Day. And that was it. That was all we did. But this is, as you said, a movie very much about settling, colonialization, pioneers in a way. A lot of great movies about this topic. Like think of things like The Witch, starring Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh my gosh!
Got
Little
him.
Forest.
What else? What other movies are there about witches?
The Witches.
About witches.
She's trying to get us to say Wicked.
Actually,
We're just going A to B, B to C, C to D.
Yeah, okay, now we're done with that. We got it out of the way. We did it. We hit our
the
quota.
We have an actual podcast to do.
yeah.
Sarah, would you like to tell us about the cast and the crew of Cimarron?
Starting off with production, it was a massive production for the time, the most expensive film RKO Studios had ever made, costing about, want to take a guess?
Wasn't it $1 million?
1.4 million. You cheated because you already read it. Even though it actually lost money at the box office because of the Great Depression.
Flop.
Filming began in 1930 outside of Los Angeles, where the production staged a massive recreation of the Oklahoma land rush. The sequence used more than 5,000 extras, hundreds of wagons and horses, and over 24 cameramen to capture the scale of the event. So, with that, to create the boomtown setting, RKO purchased land in Encino and built an entire western town set along with a modern Main Street. Those sets later became the foundation of RKO's movie ranch, which was used for many other films in the years that followed. The movie spans 40 years of time, which meant the actors had to be aged significantly with makeup, some things critics at the time actually praised as unusually convincing for the early 1930s filmmaking, which is something I also noticed and appreciated. Let's get into crew, starting with director Wesley Ruggles. I love that name, Ruggles.
If you look at his picture on IMDb, that is a man who looks like he is named Wesley Ruggles.
100%. So Wesley Ruggles was born and raised in LA. His older brother was Charles Ruggles, who was a famous comedic actor. He was a silent actor turned director. His biggest success was Cimarron, though throughout the 1930s he directed several notable films that were mostly comedies, including Mae West's I'm No Angel and multiple movies starring Carole Lombard. By the early 1940s, his career started to fade. His final film was London Town in 1946, a British Technicolor musical he both produced and directed. It ended up becoming one of the biggest critical and commercial failures in British film history. And after that, Ruggles basically retired from directing. This was originally a novel written by Edna Ferber, and the screenwriter is Howard Estabrook.
Our second adapted Best Picture winner in a row.
Should we get into the cast?
Let's get into the cast.
All right. First, we have Richard Dix as Yancey Cravat.
Do you mean Yancey?
Yancey.
Or my favorite Elvis impersonator.
I say, I do declare.
Foghorn cravat.
Foghorn cravat.
Back to Yancey. Richard Dix was known to play rugged, leading man, hard-edged hero, which is what he plays in Cimarron. I would compare him to Josh Brolin. Richard Dix, Dick Dix, was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. He originally planned to become a surgeon, but discovered acting through drama clubs in school and eventually left the medical path to pursue the stage, as one does, as I have mentioned. He quickly became one of the biggest stars of the silent film era in the 1920s. At the height of his fame, he was so popular with audiences that he even beat Rudolph Valentino in a fan magazine popularity poll.
That is actually crazy because Rudolph Valentino is one of the... My mother-in-law loves Rudolph Valentino. I've heard all about him. We visited his grave. So to hear that Richard Dix beat him, I have to tell.
Team. Unlike many silent stars, Dix successfully transitioned to sound films. In 1931, he starred in Cimarron, earning a Best Actor nomination when the film won Best Picture. Irene Dunne, who plays Sabra Cravat, Yancey Cravat's wife, opposite Richard Dix. She was nicknamed the First Lady of Hollywood. She had a very polished, almost regal reputation. She kept out of the tabloids. Dune never won an Academy Award, but is widely considered one of the best actresses during the golden age of Hollywood. This was mostly because she was up against much bigger stars at the time, like Jean Harlow, Katharine Hepburn, and Bette Davis. She very much preferred dramatic roles. Ironically, though, Irene Dunne became one of Hollywood's great comedy stars, even though she never really respected the genre of comedy. In fact, when she was first offered the script for Theodora Goes Wild, a comedy, she reportedly left the country to attend the London premiere of Showboat, partly to avoid dealing with it. Dunne later admitted that comedy came completely naturally to her, saying she never admired comedians because it was no effort at all to her, which may be exactly why audiences loved her in it so much.
This is beneath me, but I'm doing it because I'm so damn good at it.
And I'm happy for her.
Yeah, good for her.
After retiring, she became the first woman elected to Technicolor's board of directors, served as a delegate to the United Nations under Eisenhower, and stayed active in civic causes long after leaving films. She was entombed next to her husband in the Calvary Cemetery in East Los Angeles. Her papers are housed at the University of Southern California.
Multifaceted queen.
Now we have Edna Mae Oliver, who plays Mrs. Tracy Wyatt, who was my personal favorite character of this film. Very funny. I would compare her to Maggie Smith.
Sure. All right.
Y'all don't even know who I'm talking about, do you?
We do.
Yes, I know who Dame Maggie Smith is.
Okay.
You ate with that. Do you need me to tell you?
No. Edna May Oliver was one of Hollywood's most beloved character actresses. She became famous for playing sharp, independent spinsters, bringing them to life with wit, warmth, and surprising depth, which normally spinsters were not played with this level of depth that she brought to the roles. She was a descendant of John Quincy Adams, which is funny because in this movie, her character flexes multiple times that one of her relatives signed the Declaration of NDP. Declaration of NDP.
Explain for my dad what that means.
I came up with that. Declaration of NDP is the new way to say Declaration of Independence.
Okay. We'll see if it catches on. If it does, then you can trace it right back to here.
Interestingly, Oliver almost didn't make it in Hollywood at all. Studio execs originally thought her long, angular face looked too much like a horse to be photogenic on camera. Instead of fighting it, Oliver embraced the uniqueness and turned it into a strength.
She started wearing a saddlebag for her auditions. Braided her
Coming
hair.
in with carrots. Yeah, she embraced the uniqueness, turned it into a strength, and her very distinctive face ended up making her instantly recognizable, which is exactly what you want for a character actress, and audiences loved her unique look. Even when she was cast in small supporting roles, critics and audiences often remembered her lines more than the leads. Studios sometimes worried that she'd steal the picture. There's also a story about another film where Richard Dix is starring alongside her, and he insists that her scenes stay in the film, so the film is better because they wanted to cut some of her lines because they were afraid that she would steal the scene from Richard.
Okay, diva.
But shout out Richard Dix. Lastly, Edna May Oliver had a famous sniff that actually happened by accident. She had a habit of sniffing lightly after finishing a scene, and one time the camera happened to capture it. When the footage was screened for people in the projection room, the reaction was so strong that it became one of her signature on-screen mannerisms. I have one more character. Eugene Jackson, who plays Isaiah in this film, was known as Hollywood's most famous colored kid star.
Eugene Jackson is the first ever black person to be in a Best Picture winning movie. Now, while the portrayal of the character leaves something to be desired, to say charitably, the life story of Eugene Jackson himself is very interesting. So I'll hand that back to you, Sarah.
Yes, he even wrote a memoir, which is available on Amazon for $175 hardcover or $12 used.
Are there two copies?
Nope, $175 hardcover, $12 used. So Eugene Jackson, who plays Isaiah in Cimarron, started working in movies extremely young. He was only 5 years old when he appeared in the 1923 film adaptation of Penrod and Sam. Not long after that, he became part of Hal Roach's Our Gang comedy shorts, playing a character nicknamed Pineapple because of the way his hair was cut. Jackson later branched out from the group and built a solo career, becoming one of the first African-American child stars of the early sound era when he appeared in the musical drama Hearts in Dixie. Around this time, he was also performing across the country as a singer, dancer, and comedian on the vaudeville circuit. By the time he was 16, his touring show had visited 89 cities across 16 states, making him one of the most widely traveled young performers of the era. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, he continued appearing in films and stage performances and later worked with a group of young performers known as the Harlem Tough Kids. Jackson stayed connected to the entertainment world for decades. Later in his career, he appeared in television shows like Julia and Sanford & Son. Off-screen, he also became a dance instructor, opening studios in Compton and Pasadena and helping train performers who later worked in film and theater.
So another interesting anecdote about Jackson, reading just a timeline that I found online, but in 1941, he was working in Honolulu, performing as part of the Black and Tan Harlem Strutters, which is a troupe headquartered in Honolulu, but playing on other islands as well. He was present during the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th. He had a curfew in effect, so it was really hard for him to get back to the mainland, and he had to resort to manual labor to earn money in order to return home. So it was December 14th in Hawaii. He performed a Christmas show put on for local orphans, and he met up a family that had a couple of young boys, and he was hired to teach them tap dancing. And then it was on Christmas, which was his 25th birthday of that year, he was finally able to board a ship home. So what a wild December in 1941 that he had. Really interesting guy. Really interesting story. If anyone has $174 that they'd like to donate to the podcast, please give it to us so we can read his life story in full.
I mean, we could get the $12 used, but we want
No.
to pay full price for that new hardcover. I do want to briefly touch on something that I have noticed in a lot of these older movies, which there's at least one character with a stutter.
Oh, interesting.
In this film, Roscoe Aites, who plays Jesse Rickey, built his entire career on a stutter that audiences thought was real, but in reality the stutter was completely fake. So first, Hollywood and stutters. It came from vaudeville and stage comedy. Many early film actors, including people like Roscoe Aites, came out of vaudeville where exaggerated speech quirks were a common comedy device. A stutter worked like a built-in punchline. The audience knew a word was coming, but the delay created tension and then release when it finally came out. When movies got sound in the late 1920s, filmmakers simply brought those vaudeville character types onto the screen. Comedy was much broader back then. 1930s humor often relied on exaggerated traits like physical gags, funny voices, catchphrases. So a stutter became just another recognizable comedic gimmick, similar to a pratfall or a double take. This can be paralleled to modern-day vaudeville comedians who use this device, such as Sydney Sweeney in the film Americana.
Oh my God.
Oh. Drew's favorite movie.
She's so good at it.
Sydney Sweeney is a modern-day vaudeville comedian.
I've been saying it.
People don't want to talk about it, but let's talk about it. Sydney Sweeney is a vaudeville comedian.
If your circle isn't talking about Sydney Sweeney as a vaudevillian, you need a new circle.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Early Hollywood movies use things like stutters, heavy accents, lisps to quickly signal a personality. A stutter might suggest a character who was nervous, timid, goofy, or socially awkward. Also, because movies were still figuring out how to use dialogue, these vocal traits helped audiences immediately understand a character.
That explains, one of the notes I wrote down is, why is this movie, Cimarron, all weird racial stereotypes and insane side characters?
Yes.
I think that kind of highlights that they was a little more heightened, their idea of acting and characters, especially in something that's meant to be more wide and sweeping like this, like a big cast of characters, making them bigger and more distinctive.
Mm-hmm. And that's a wrap on Cast and Crew.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Mm-hmm. Now we can get into the synopsis of the movie and go through it from beginning to end. Drew started off by talking about the land run scene. That's really the first part, the first thing that ever happens in the movie.
Can I just say, it looked like Walmart on Black Friday.
That is what.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. If what they were getting weren't 72-inch TVs, but places that their families would live in for hundreds of years.
That's exactly what it felt like to me.
And
what is Black Friday if not Manifest Destiny?
True. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's nothing more American than it. Yeah. Now, this may be a hot take. I think this is definitely a case for me where the movie peaks in the first 5 minutes. I think it's a very impressive scene. I think it looks really good. I thought we were cooking with this. Really cool scene. Again, we mentioned the number of extras. Clearly, it took a lot of work to stage something like this. And they have a cool little element where there are sorts of waves. You have people going in on covered wagons, on horses, those who are fast.
They have a little cutaway with like a guy on one of those old-timey bicycles with the one giant wheel.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I couldn't get a wagon, but I'm sure as hell not going to run. I got to get the best. Yancey Supreme shows up. This is our first introduction to him. He's clearly someone who's like known amongst the people who are about to do this land run. He's here to obviously participate in the land run himself. Like I said, the land run begins. He has a horse. He is almost successful. He finds a nice place by a riverbed, but ultimately he is thwarted by a new character who is introduced by the name of Dixie Lee. She's a woman, a single woman, very scandalous for the time, but she is participating in the land run herself. What she does, this is really messed up actually, and we did not have PETA on board with any of these movies back then. That maybe it existed, but if it did, it was not involved with film. Because she rode this horse into a riverbank and probably broke its leg.
Well, where she basically like pulls a fast one on Yancey, where she goes like, oh no, like the horse, like its legs are broken. Please put it out of its misery. And so then she asks Yancey to just shoot the horse in the head.
And then he does. He pulls out his gun. He's like, well, I gotta put this sucker down.
Yeah.
And then he looks back and she's stolen his horse.
Yes, exactly.
And is riding that to get we assume, a better plot of Land.
The exact plot of Land that he was going for.
I actually really enjoyed that scene with Dixie Lee. I think it's good characterization. It paints Yancey as...
It was really
like,
cool.
He's a good man. Like, he's willing to do that. Like, he will put the horse out of its misery. And she is very willing to take advantage of his goodwill. Ultimately, this scene ends up meaningless. It really doesn't have a bearing on the story.
I thought this was going to be the movie.
Me
Same.
too.
Yeah.
Me too. Which is why I said this peaked in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because after Yancey is unsuccessful in getting this specific plot of land, but there was no one else around him. He could have just gotten this perfectly nice plot of land he was on right then. I digress. It's a hard cut of him going back to Wichita, Kansas, I assume, and that is where his family was living. So he returns to his wife and young child. They are living with his in-laws in a very nice house in Kansas. So clearly they're very well-to-do. They're already living in the city. And Yancey, he's got this, and we'll see this as a theme throughout the entire movie, but Yancey has this yearn to roam. And his pitch essentially is, I don't know if it's not much of a pitch. It's more like, we are doing this.
Yeah.
You are coming with me. Is that we are going out to the Oklahoma frontier. But his wife, Sabra, is very much uninterested in going. She clearly is very posh. She lives a nice life. Her family is also very against them going. Yeah. Curious your guys' thoughts on this, because it really only comes up, I believe, in this scene and section of the movie, but there seems to be an implication that Yancey himself might be part Native American.
Oh.
That was a read that I potentially had, because he's portrayed as being very sympathetic to them, which I think was very potentially out of character at the time. He's got like the dark hair compared to a lot of the other people that he's around. He's known already as a newspaper man. His newspaper is the local Wigwam. So I don't know if that's something that is explored more deeply in the book, but he is, again, a theme throughout the movie, very sympathetic to the plights of the Native American in some ways, maybe more than others, because he still participates in all of these land runs. But I'm curious if that's part of why his mother is so disapproving of him in general.
I think he is just largely being portrayed as like a progressive in the sense of like that time. Progressive,
of the time.
The Progressive Party, as in Theodore Roosevelt, etc. Probably wasn't as like cut and dry as maybe we would think, where there were like significant progressive, there are degrees
activists to it, and what is progressive back then would look very different than what is progressive today. But the steps that were taken back then, those baby steps, obviously allowed the world to progress in a positive way.
Yeah.
That has led to a more equitable world. Obviously not a fully equitable world that we live in right now, but obviously a lot better than it was in the late 1800s in Oklahoma, where we were still forcing Native Americans to, march to their deaths. But speaking of things that are progressive, speaking of things that aren't progressive, this is where we first meet Isaiah, portrayed by Eugene Jackson. I was shook when his character appears on screen. And it's really not funny. You see a shot of the family sitting around the table, and they've got their nice clothes on. And then there's a hard cut up to he is laying on like a board hanging above the table with a large leaf, and he's just fanning people. It was very
hard
jarring.
Watch.
Yeah. It's like, this is the first black person to be seen in a Best Picture winner. It's like, oh God, not like this, not like this.
Yeah.
Isaiah, though, is portrayed as part of the family. The way they portray him is very complicated. Isaiah himself, as Yancey is saying he wants to go out to Oklahoma, Isaiah essentially throws himself at his feet and is like, I too want to go with you. And his mother rushes into the room and says, no, you aren't going to go. That seems to be that. But then we cut to the scene where Yancey and his family are leaving Wichita. They're in a covered wagon going out to Oklahoma, and we find that Isaiah stowed away with them. So he is now a deeper part of the story as they travel out to Oklahoma. On this travel out to the new country, there's a very odd scene where bandits show up.
I didn't get that part.
This is something that's probably has the benefit of being expanded more in the novel, but the bandit is like about to rob them, but then he says, oh, it's Yancey.
Yeah.
I do feel like from what we've seen, it's consistent with Yancey's characterization. He's probably someone who's been out in the field meeting a lot of these people, building up a reputation. So the bandit runs up and is like, well, I was about to rob you, but it's Yancey. So I'll go rob the next guy.
Yeah.
After that, the family arrives in the city, which is called Osage. See the city and all the people. This movie did win Best Production Design. And so we get like a wide sweeping shot of the whole town. This is where we start to get a introduction into all of the other casts of characters that are within this. Sabra, at the start of this, she is hating it. This is rough and tumble. She's wearing her fancy clothes out in the middle of the street. There are some rougher characters. We meet he's not quite a bandit himself. He's just kind of a mean dude, Lon Yountis. He's just kind of a jerk. Not very nice man. He has beef with Yancey right off the bat for really no discernible reason. Yancey is coming to this town to kind of start his newspaper up again, the Daily Wigwam, and it's revealed that Yountis had shot the prior newspaper man, so maybe he just couldn't read and he had a huge beef against that.
That's such a good take.
He's like, I must kill everyone who in the printed word is an affront to God, and I am a crusader.
I know there's still people like that exist today.
He's just a Luddite. I want to see a gritty reboot with Lon Giannis as the protagonist, the misunderstood protagonist. This is where we also meet Jesse Rickey, the stutterer who becomes a friend of the family and is very integral to them really adapting and integrating into the town. Next, Lon, again, in just an act of aggression, shoots Yancey's hat off. And it's a very typical like Western thing where Yancey is always wearing a white hat, so you know he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Lon's always wearing a black hat, so it's very clear who to root for. And Yancey responds after getting his hat shot off by shooting Lon in the ear. So one shoots his hat, the other draws blood.
He hit him with the 45 special.
Yeah. You'll never guess who's the good guy in the situation. It settles into, it's a lot of like him and Saber starting the newspaper, arguing about being there. She's unhappy being there. He wants to be there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a really long stretch where it just sort of dragged in the middle. Mm-hmm. What breaks that up next is a church scene. Yancey is the preacher. They're just like, get up there, man, and preach.
I think they're like, yeah, you're the most educated guy here. You can probably...
Yeah. Well, I think it doesn't feel like a running joke, but it honestly should feel like a running joke where Yancey just does everything in this town.
He's a multi-hyphenate.
This movie is very like... from a historical perspective, it's very like great man theory where it's like...
Oh, yeah, it's very Mel Gibson coded.
Yes, yeah.
He's also a Spanish-American war hero, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Spanish-American war hero, newspaper editor, lawyer, preacher, father, husband.
Can we say he's a father?
Can
we say he's a husband?
I don't think we can.
We will get
about
into that. We will definitely
Title,
get into that. But this church scene...
Hosted in a casino, for the record.
Yeah, which probably explains why all this.
He's literally preaching on top of a roulette table.
Yeah, it's a godless place, the Wild West.
The pulp, yeah.
What I love, one part of the scene that's very honestly funny is a bunch of strumpets appear.
What's a strumpet?
Like an old time, like a prostitute. It's just a fun.
Is that what they were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were pretty ladies.
Dressed like that.
Yeah, in that
they looked
time,
gorgeous. They looked better than Miss Wyatt, please.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you think they can afford it?
Miss Wyatt washed.
Miss Wyatt do be judging these ladies.
For real.
And the queen bee of these liberated women, we will say, is Dixie Lee, who we met in the first scene, who stole the land. And you would think that this is the start of an arc that really ingrains her character into the story. That is not true.
No.
I wanted more Dixie Lee.
That was the most interesting part of this whole story, and they just ignored it. They just glossed over it. Maybe it's in the novel. I don't know. I likely won't be reading this. As I said, Yancey starts preaching. They're like, oh, someone get up there. Someone's got to do it. And he does. And he's preaching and he's preaching. I don't remember exactly like the point of the sermon.
He really does do what you're not supposed to do, and he just makes it about like very personal politics is what he does.
That's exactly what he does. He's just like trying to get Jan Lantis to admit to murdering the previous newspaper editor.
Oh, that's true. It is meant to be sort of a provocation for Lon Yantis. Again, this is the good guy.
Yeah.
Who he is goading him. Lon Yantis comes in, he's mad. He's getting rage baited hard.
Yes.
And he takes the bait, and in today he would just simply get banned from the Reddit forum, which he was yelling in. But in this day and age, they did not have these. This is a real life Reddit forum, and he pulled out a gun and goes to
in the church/casino.
In the church/casino, and he shoots at Yancey while he preaches, and Yancey kills him. Yeah. Yancey pulls out his gun and shoots him dead. Again, paralleling the earlier scene where Lon shoots his hat and Yancey draws blood. Now, Lon Yantis again misses and is killed.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the hero doing the killing, which is great. It is okay, though, as a guy in the crowd stands up and says, it was in self-defense. Yeah. Guys, it's okay. He did murder him, and we all saw it. But you saw he shot first.
Yeah.
He
did goad him into shooting him, but...
Yeah. Anyway, rest in peace, Lon Yantis. Gone too soon.
Yeah, I know.
So Yancey, then after this scene, he talks to Dixie because she's in the scene, and Sabra is big mad about it. Like, who is this? Which is, frankly, fair. I am very much on Sabra's side in this. I'm mostly on Sabra's side, I would say, throughout the movie, aside from the racism.
Agreed.
Sabra is very racist, whereas Yancey is a deadbeat. So
exactly.
Yeah, and that's the whole movie is weighing which is worse.
Well, I will say that I just remembered Yancey is like the Marty Supreme of the frontier.
That's a great allegory.
That's literally that is what this movie is. Shit, You're right.
Wow.
Put that on the Instagram.
I've got a divine purpose, Sabra.
God.
But there's the next scene. The next scene is a hard cut to. Which again, this scene, him and Dixie, they talk and Sabra's mad and it kind of just goes nowhere. The next is a hard cut to Yancey and Sabra celebrating the birth of their new daughter. Also, I've never mentioned, they have a son.
And then Yancey cries and Everybody Wants to Rule the World starts playing.
Oh my God. That was a reference to Marty Supreme.
Yeah, thank you. But like I said, I neglected to mention the Cravats already have a son whose name is Cimarron, which is really not that important in the grand scheme of the entire movie. Fun fact, Cimarron means wild, feral, untamed. So it's a weird thing to name your child for one, but it does play well into the themes of the movie and why so many Western towns are called Cimarron, just the Spanish name for that. The next scene is a bit weird. Bandits come and attack the town. You gotta have a bandit. And again, this is Yancey and his newfound multi-hyphenate duty as the sheriff of the town. The bandits come and start terrorizing everybody. There's a shootout. It's a classic Wild West shootout. At one point, the son, Cimarron, starts wandering out in there and very much throwing himself into danger. Isaiah goes to save Cimarron, and unfortunately he is shot, falls behind a bunch of barrels, and as the fight continues to go on, ultimately, of course, the man with the white hat triumphs over the bandits. The bandit also being the kid, the bandit from earlier. So Yancey shoots and kills his friend. Yeah, he's killing his enemies. He's killing his friends. He's just out here.
It's a classic Western, you know.
Totally.
I wish we could be friends. But I have to shoot you for my town.
Yeah, and the kid's like, I get it.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
He said, when he got shot, he said, you pegged me.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, well, no, like,
You'll pay
I mean, like, I was kind of joking, but he was kind of okay with it.
Yeah. There's like a samurai code of honor to it where it's like, you
got
me.
me.
I deserve it.
For sure. And I also have to talk about the fact that Isaiah literally dies.
He dies.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what pisses me off about that? Not just that he dies, but that the family doesn't even go looking for him. They're not even like, where's Isaiah?
Yeah.
Like, they got their
Yeah.
son back. They're not even curious as to what happened to Isaiah until someone brings his body in.
Which they are, of course, like appropriately sad when his body is brought in and he essentially dies in front of them.
But they're not thinking about him.
Yeah. So it's very strange. Again.
Unceremonious, too.
Yeah.
They're just like, he's gone.
Yeah. Again, such a strange way to handle that character. Mm-hmm. The next arc is the true beginning of the Marty Supremeness of this movie, I would say, where there's a very hard cut now. Now we're getting into, again, the feel of the epic, where there's going to be more time skips throughout the rest of this movie. It's a cut to 1893. There's a new land run in Oklahoma. New land just dropped. People are all hype about being
Cherokee
able to...
Strip is what it's
The Cherokee Strip, yeah. New Cherokee Strip just dropped.
It's
So
kind of
we
like,
need to-
if I remember correctly, it's like, no, it would be like northern Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's just the expansion out west because the first run was in the northeastern territory. So
Yeah.
this is, again, continuing to push.
I'm going to guess, too, it was probably called the Cherokee Strip because they initially relocated Cherokee people there, and then they said, you're going to have to move again,
Yeah.
and then opened it up.
Most-
That's like
most
par for the
likely.
course with a lot of this.
Totally. But Yancey, he's got that wandering bug again. And he disappears for 5 years.
Leaving his wife and children.
Like
just...
newborn daughter.
You don't understand. Ping pong is huge in Asia. I gotta be there.
This man...
But yes, 5 years he's gone. And really, they just kind of gloss over that. It cuts back to the end of this 5 years that no one has heard from Yancey. Sabra is running the town at this time. And we get in at this point where there's about to be a trial. They're prosecuting Dixie Lee for... Does anyone remember what the reason was?
Okay, no, it was like a really weird thing about her husband. She had a baby with her husband, and I think she tried to divorce him or something.
It felt personal. It felt like
It was
like,
definitely a very point. Like, again, Sabra is essentially running the town at this point. She has really found her footing in the New West.
local politics.
No, literally, she essentially is the major politician, judge, jury, and executioner of this town now that the actual executioner, Yancey, has gone away for 5 years. But this trial is about to happen, and then Yancey suddenly returns. And he's incensed about the fact that Dixie Lee is on trial. He clearly has some sort of infatuation with her, which is never truly explored in the course of the movie, but would have given some very interesting...
Some level of admiration or something. I don't know.
Respect,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like because she was more of that frontierswoman going on the land runs.
Yeah.
Like, again, if they had explored that psyche of that was why he gravitated more towards her than Sabra, could have been a really interesting angle.
Totally. Yeah.
But they didn't explore it. Instead, he comes home and is incensed at the fact that she is about to be prosecuted and says, I am going to represent her as the lawyer. And he successfully, gets her out of trouble, much to, I assume, Sabra's chagrin.
What would you have done if you were Sabra? Would you have been pissed?
Yeah, probably.
I would have been pissed.
Like, he's gone. This bum is gone for 5 years, shows up, ruins the thing that I'm working on.
Yeah, and then it's like, I'm going to represent this woman who you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Can I give a hot take?
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
My hot take, I've yet to give a hot take on this podcast.
You have yet to give us a hot take.
My hot take is I hate whenever there is a trial scene in a movie. I am never interested whenever there's a trial scene. And it happens in a lot of movies where it's like a normal movie's happening and then there's a trial scene.
I think it can work if the movie is about the trial and it's written around it.
I'm more talking about movies like this where it's like
They just
it's
slapped
about
it in
something
there.
else, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, now we're in. It's like, yeah, it's like
They just like wanted him to give a
This one felt-
attorney monologue.
this one felt very egregious to the point where it made me think of this.
Yeah.
That
He
hot
also
take.
like lies to defend her. He commits
It's-
perjury. This white hat, this hero of the story, abandons his children for years at a time, extrajudicially murders multiple people,
Yeah.
and commits perjury on the law stand.
Question. Do you think he cheated on Sabra when he was out for 5 years?
I think that's the implication.
I don't know. I mean, he's like a politician. He's like a progressive politician, wild guy. Like, I could see him easily getting involved in some...
See, maybe, but I actually think that he's married to the grind. I don't think he's interested in cheating on his wife. I think he's just interested in being around nobody.
I promise I just slept with Gwyneth Paltrow. That's it.
Oh my God. It all goes back to Marty Supreme.
And it was only so I could steal her necklace. You won't believe it. It was just costume jewelry.
Drew, you need to make your own movie.
Yancey Supreme.
It's the name of this. That's the name of this episode. Yancey Supreme.
It would be like a man to take a woman's idea and claim credit.
Exactly.
But I will say that Yancey does treat his family like a subscription service.
Totally. He can't find the unsubscribe button.
No, he can't.
He's like, oh, okay, there's a new season of Stranger Things. I guess I'll put my information back in there.
Oh, that's good. So after the trial scene, there's another cut where they find oil. The state of Oklahoma is formally created in 1907. The kids are older now. The son reveals that he is dating an Osage girl, much to...
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Ruby.
And his racist mother is very upset by this news.
Saber just starts to annoy me with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, she's just annoying to me. I'm like, you're fucking fun at parties.
Well, she's literally just like...
Sabra, your potato salad sucks. We gotta...
I mean, she could be Karen Cravat.
Honestly,
Like,
though.
she is a 1930s Karen,
And
sure.
did you see those balloon sleeves? She would be wearing balloon sleeves. She would. That's what Mrs. White said. Sabra Cravat would be the first woman in town to wear balloon sleeves.
But Yancey, upon his return, is running for governor?
Yeah, he's been.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's been encouraged to run for governor. Everybody
Right.
loves him, etc.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love a murdering, family abandoning politician?
I mean,
He's also a preacher.
Table stakes.
yeah.
Wait, is this when the oil boom is happening?
This is when the oil boom is happening. This is fascinating because, and this is obviously a very true thing that happened, portrayed in book and film very recently, The Killers of the Flower Moon. There's a very interesting scene where they're talking about the oil boom and the land rights that the Native Americans have because they found oil on the land, and they set up the idea of them having white executors who control the funds that they are being given from that oil money.
There is a scene that I thought was very funny when Sabra's daughter, Donna, and she's complaining that all the kids in school are going to make fun of her because they haven't found oil yet. She's like, Mom, all the kids at school are going to make fun of me because we haven't struck oil. Like, if some girl in San Francisco was like, oh, Mom, all the kids are going to make fun of me because we don't have a tech startup yet.
We don't have an app. I don't have an
We don't
app.
have an
Where's
app.
my app?
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like,
She's old money.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're political money,
Yeah.
not these newfangled oil barons. So we have this interesting scene about the oil boom, the Native Americans, and you guys, you're never going to guess what happens next, what Yancey does. Can you guess? He leaves. He leaves again.
Why does he leave this time? What's like calling him? Or he's just like, I gotta get out
Peace.
of here. I can't remember.
Did he need a reason at that point?
Yeah, it was some.
He was
something.
bored. I don't know.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was something. He was like he wanted to publish his statement on like giving Native Americans citizenship as part of his platform for running for governor. And I think he sort of was like, I don't care about the politics. I would rather just make my statement and then you, Saber, can take over the newspaper, but I'm out of here. You know, like I'm making my point and I'm out of here.
He's so exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
never get between the man and his hobbies.
His hobby is running out on his wife and children.
His hobby is having an avoidant.
Please, Mr. Rockwell, let me play him. Let me play him, I swear.
Here he goes, Yancey Supreme.
Let's play again. Loser kisses the pig.
Oh man.
Oh no.
But this is a very long cut now. It cuts to Saber being old as hell for the 40th anniversary of the newspaper, and she is a congresswoman. Good for her.
Period. Diva status.
But Sabra's a congresswoman who, again, Sabra is a very accomplished person throughout this whole movie, even in the face of her man being the biggest bum on planet Earth. There's a scene where she's at part of seems like a political dinner. She introduces her family. The kids are all grown up by now. Cimarron is married to Ruby, the Osage girl. They have a nice moment. Yancey's still nowhere to be found. And then Saber leaves. But this scene is too fun. It's so ridiculous. I was like, oh, God, we're really doing this. She's walking down the street, and there's a commotion. People run up and it's like, there's been an accident at the oil field. Someone's in danger. They all go to see what's going on. And everyone's saved. Like, everyone's fine. There's like, wow, we would have lost a lot more people if it weren't for this drifter that came by and saved them. Yeah. His name is Old Man Yance. Oh my God.
Didn't see that coming.
You can hear like my eyes rolling out of my head when I heard that line. I was like, oh God, we're going there. I mean, like, you do have to tie it up. But it was so... I disliked that immensely. And that's the final shot of the movie, essentially. Like, Sabra, she reconciles with Old Man Yance as he dies in her arms, having nobly saved this oil derrick or whatever. Yeah. And then there's a statue of... It looks like it could be Yancey.
I think it was one of those statues where it's a statue of the Oklahoma pioneer, like just a general idea.
Yancey is the platonic ideal of the Oklahoma pioneer.
Exactly.
Shooting people, leaving his kids. Preaching. Clearly having a thing for the local madame.
Mm-hmm. I will say that towards the end of the movie, there was a scene I really liked with Mrs. Wyatt, the rich kind
snooty horse
face lady who was very funny. She's very funny, but she walks up to Saul Levy, the town tailor.
Yeah, he like basically, not a haberdashery, but he owns like a woman's wear store.
And Saul is like the only Jewish man really in town, but he owns a woman's wear store. And he's at the meeting where Sabra is becoming congresswoman because he's like day one friends with Sabra. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They like built that town together. She brought up all her friends with her to Congress. And Mrs. Wyatt sees Saul Levy and she's like, I'm related to someone who signed the Declaration of NDP. And then, she flexes it on him and he goes, well, my ancestors wrote the 10 Commandments. So he absolutely ancestor mogs her.
Yeah.
And she has nothing to say to that.
Colorful little cast of characters, but
we can't get to all of them.
No. But that's the movie. And now a little bit about the Oscars. By 1931, the Academy Awards had gained a very strong foothold in the culture, had really helped to improve the public sentiment of the movie industry. So right now, as we mentioned, America was in the heart of the Great Depression, movies being a big morale booster for a population that really needed it. And additionally, the Academy had done a lot of work to expand a motion picture library, invest in education, as well as spreading technical innovations, so goodwill was increasing rather quickly. Punctuating this was the presence of Charles Curtis at the awards. Charles Curtis being the Vice President of the United States sent by President Herbert Hoover.
Yeah. This is a little tidbit, and it's a little bit relevant just because of the movie that we're talking about here. But Charles Curtis was actually the first Native American to serve as either vice president or president. He was also the first Native American to ever serve in Congress. He was a member of the Kaw Nation, born in the Kansas Territory. I believe he was a quarter Kaw, but it was well known at the time that he was.
So did they know
American. No, they knew.
Cimarron was going to win?
They juiced it. It'd be like if J.D. Vance showed up and they gave it to Hillbilly Elegy.
But Curtis, he told the gathered Academy members that he was there in order to pay respects to the creative minds of the world's greatest and most influential enterprise, the motion picture. The awards given were the same as the year before, with the addition of a scientific or technical category. This functioned more as a special award recognizing technical achievement more than a standard Oscar. So they were awarded not necessarily to studios, but to the research or manufacturing groups that aided them. Not much else was notably new, aside from the presenter of the Best Actress Oscar, Norma Shearer. She was also nominated for that award. So had she been a back-to-back winner, she would have given the award to herself.
Oh.
Not sure why no one considered this before the ceremony, but that is something they realized and would change going forward, where the prior recipient of Best Actor would present Best Actress, vice versa. We still see that today.
And the winner is me.
Ew.
She lost.
I'll be taking
luckily.
this.
SNL ass award ceremony.
At this Academy Awards, Cimarron won 3 Oscars, including Outstanding Production, Writing for an Adaptation, and Art Direction. There were 4 other movies nominated for Best Picture. I'll give you a brief overview of each of them. They were, first being East Lynne, a family drama in which the hook seems to be that the main character, Lady Isabel Carlyle, was blinded in an explosion and has to return home to see her son. Not much else could be found about this one, and it was nominated for nothing else, so bit of an odd movie.
Snooze fest.
Yeah. The next one was The Front Page. This was a satirical journalism movie directed by Best Picture Brainrot alumnus Louis Milestone.
Oh.
It's about a newspaper editor who tricks his retiring star reporter into covering one last case. It also got a Best Actor nomination. I am kind of interested in watching that one eventually. The next one, Skippy. This one is crazy.
Oh, I'm already hooked.
It's adapted from a popular comic strip at the time. Norman Torog won the Oscar for directing, and Jackie Cooper was nominated for Best Actor at only 10 years old.
Whoa.
And so this is not what I would expect from a Best Director winner. It follows young Skippy, the son of a well-to-do doctor. He meets a friend, Sookie, in Shantytown and goes on a quest to save his dog from the pound because Sookie can't afford the $3 fee. I think this feels like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
you know,
it's like my cousin Vinny getting like an Oscar.
No, it's more like Little Rascals.
Yeah,
getting it's like a bunch of plucky kids. Like they gotta save the dog before it gets taken to the pound, and all they gotta do is raise $3.
Yeah.
Jackie Cooper himself being a 10-year-old, nominated for Best Actor. Surprising they were doing that back then. He fell asleep during the ceremony and lost to Lionel Barrymore, who won off the strength of a rousing 14-minute monologue in his film, A Free Soul. Try hard.
Yeah, like, come on.
That's so cute that he fell asleep.
I know. The last one, Trader Horn. I'm just going to read the description, and I'm going to let it speak for itself.
Nice.
2 white traders in the darkest Africa of the 1870s find a missionary's daughter who was captured as a child by a savage tribe and now worshipped as a goddess. Anyway, weird movie.
I'm curious about that one.
Also only nominated for Best Picture and not much else. But yes, very, very odd. So in the context of these very fine other movies up for Best Picture, knowing that we've all, I believe, seen none of them, Would we say that this is a deserved win?
Personally, yeah. It's hard because I haven't seen the other movies. But especially that first scene, I felt like, yeah, it was very impressive. It honestly kept me hooked and entertained the entire time. Like, the performances were really great across the board, like really solid leading men and women, but also all of the side characters are really fun character actors who I think did a really great job. Yeah, I'd say it would deserve to win Best Picture.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree. Just judging off of these other synopses, I mean, like maybe it's a weird year. Weird year for.
Might be a weird year. I'm Skippy Hive.
I was gonna say Skippy's the only dark horse I have here.
Well, if they were actually considering, and this would never have been up at the time, of course, but a amazing movie from German cinema at this time is M. Highly recommend to watch. That is a movie where, very dark, there is a child murderer in this town, and it's all about the town kind of engaging in mob tactics to find him and take him down. It really follows the criminal himself for a lot of the movie, and you get into his head, you get into his psyche. It's played by Peter Lorre, who's a great actor who we'll see in other movies in the future. He's a really strong German actor. Really an amazing movie from that era, and a much more deserving type movie. I will say, I actually really didn't like this movie.
Oh, I know you did.
Yeah, this is my take, but I was bored. I was confused. I thought it was overacting for the most part. I loved the first scene, never delivered on the promise. Thought all the characters were written pretty badly in a way that just really annoyed me. And then on top of that, you're layering on, of course, like for the time, but the racism was pretty hard to deal with. And so it kind of soured me a little on this. Like I said, would this be considered racist for the time that it was in? Probably not. I'm sure it accurately represented the sentiments, but I broadly found myself really just waiting for this to be over and very excited when it was. So that's my hot take.
Interesting. I actually really enjoyed this movie.
Well, it's good. No, we should have.
I was honestly thoroughly entertained. I was confused, but to a point where it was just like very funny to me. Like, the movie was funny to me, outside of obviously a lot of the social issues that they're dealing with. And it is true for the time. So it might be, like hard to watch, but that's just how people were treated back then. So it's like, it's unfortunate, but we are able to like watch these movies and see it for ourselves, even if the way these characters were portrayed and how people viewed people of color in media. Like, I just think it's also important to be watching stuff like this to know the history of that. But otherwise, the characters were crazy. The character actors specifically I loved. They were all just like two-dimensional characters, but I thought it served the movie well, to be honest. I just thought it was really funny.
I didn't think it would be so early that we would find that Sarah would really enjoy a movie from 1931 far more than me.
I know. And it made me want to watch other Westerns from this time. So.
I'm kind of... I don't think this is a good movie, like, from an objective standpoint, but I was entertained. I'm glad I saw it, and I would even maybe watch it again. Like, it was... I will say, I was kind of like stopping and starting, because it does lull every now and then, but there are some memorable parts of this movie, and the bones of a good movie are in there, I think. Like we talked about, even at the beginning of this movie, there's like a much better story that just never gets told.
Well, and that's how why I feel the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it reached what I wanted it to reach, and it felt very much the whole time like an unfulfilled promise.
I was very entertained. There were some very fun set pieces. And I think, too, like, I'm also a sucker for anything where it's like I'm learning, or at least the narrative is based around a sliver of very specific history. And it's just a very interesting part of American history that, like, goes underlooked. This is not a comprehensive history of Oklahoma whatsoever.
No.
But you at least get a sense of, okay, how do people feel about this part of American history at the time in the 1930s. There's a fun line in there, I think, that people would probably even say during the 1930s. It's like someone, I think it's Yancey's talking to Sabra, and they say something about like something about like, oh, you're too embroiled in the history of this nation. She says something like, why would I care about history? And then he says like, well, you're making it every day just by being here, you know. I don't know. I got
That's what we're doing on this podcast, right?
I would
on period. So, for the brain rot, let's say we're making a remake in Year of Our Lord 2026. The studio behind the remake, of course, Amazon MGM, is having people do the hashtag Cimarron Challenge for viral marketing. What would the Cimarron Challenge be?
It would be a land rush.
Yeah,
It'd
it
be a
would
land
be.
rush
It
or
would be sponsored.
It would be
sponsored by Mr.
It would be a
Beast.
Mr. Beast
Yes.
style land rush where
This is the only correct
he
answer.
says there's a plot of land somewhere in Oklahoma. I won't tell you where it is, but the first one to get here and stake their claim by planting a flag in the land gets to keep it. It would be one of those 20-minute Mr. Beast videos where he basically does the whole show in 20 minutes.
Or it'd be like an Instagram live where he's like, okay, like first one to stake their claim in like Corn, Oklahoma, like you get
The city where my wife is from.
shout out Alexis. She's real, by the way. Adam keeps mentioning her, but like, I just want to confirm that
wanted
she
her to be
is
here.
real.
We as a podcast, we do need one wife guy.
But yeah, it'd be like an Instagram live, like first one to run to Corn, Oklahoma and stake their claim gets a house, and then HGTV builds it, and it's like my Mr. Beast home.
Alternative is you see how long you can leave your wife and kids and never come back.
Yeah, all right.
And whoever can go the longest.
No. You have to leave your wife and kids, and you have to come back and
A
they'll let you
decorated
in.
war hero.
Yeah. And find a
yeah,
brand new...
that's true. And they have to still accept you when you come back.
Yeah, because like if you leave and you come back like 5 years later and they just thought you died and they've started a new family, you've lost the challenge.
Exactly.
And but as part of the challenge, you can't follow them on social media. You can't see if they've moved on.
Exactly. The scale of this promo for a movie would go far beyond even the memory of the movie.
Yeah.
You'd come back home.
27
I
years
completed the Cimarron Challenge. What, that movie that came out?
Amazon MGM got bought out by Netflix.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. There's no reward to be given.
Yeah, that was straight to streaming. Well, rest in peace to that man's family.
I could also see a bunch of girls on social media being like, when you have a Cimarron man or when you have a Yancey man, and it's like, read caption for 5 signs of an avoidant man. And it's like, Cimarron man. Like, I could definitely see, like...
Like, girls, here's how you know if you have a Cimarron man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's how to know if your man is a Yancey.
My man's a lawn yonder. He'll never leave me because he can't read.
That would be a pinned comment for sure.
Yeah.
Could also be like AMC, like they'll do those promos. If you see in your AMC Stubs account, if you buy tickets to see Scream 7, we'll give you a home security system.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. We'll give
Those
you
ADT collabs go crazy.
We'll give you a home security system. Like sometimes it'll be a vacation, like a Hawaiian getaway, like something to do with the movie. They would give you a chuck wagon.
Not a plot of land that they've stolen.
They would give you
from
a
someone
full
of
chuck
color.
wagon. They would give you a chuck wagon with 2 oxen.
Great. Another thing for me to ignore from AMC.
Yeah.
So, final rating from the group.
You first.
Me first. You're going to hate it. I got to go with my heart on this one. I really didn't like this. I thought it was a bad movie. I'm giving it a 1 star.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm giving it worse than Broadway Melody.
Wow.
Wow.
I know. That's the hot take.
That is piping hot.
Yeah.
3rd degree.
Yeah.
burn.
Someone's gotta put it up. Are you guys? Would you say this is above Wings or All Quiet for either of you?
No.
It's like a solid third.
This is the
for
perfect
It's
middle
solid
of the
third.
This is the perfect middle of the road.
I would give it 3 stars. I give 3 stars to a movie that's just like, it's entertaining. I can appreciate parts of it. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, I'm probably like a high 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
Maybe a 2.5 with a heart.
You always say with a heart.
With a heart.
The
You go with a heart.
The
You
heart
go
is
with
how
a
you
heart.
hedge it.
The letterbox politics have infected all of us. That's it. That's Cimarron. We have successfully done the Cimarron challenge. My wife is wondering where I am.
It's been 27 years.
Yeah.
Join us next week as we leave the frontier for high society in Grand Hotel, 1932's tea-filled Best Picture winner.